typing in unlicensed background music.
Speaking of unlicensed background music, what have you guys been listening to? You know, any new albums or music you guys been checking out?
Music mostly. What is this?
Acid Paradox Galaxy.
Oh my god! I don't know if this is. I don't know if this is YouTube appropriate.
What have I been listening to? Listening to a lot. Listening to a lot of Led Zeppelin. Listening to some Pink Floyd. The Alabama Shakes. I don't know if you ever listen to the Alabama Shakes.
Yep,
They're pretty good. Blackberry Smoke, which is like you ever listen to the Black Crowes?
Okay, yep.
They're like a modern. It's kind of like the Black Crowes. It's like a country, like hard country rock.
Okay,
they're pretty good. Wolf Mother.
Right.
I just started listening to. They're pretty great. And Massive Attack, Trip Hop, some pretty good songs there. And that's about it. Other than that, I try and listen to like one album a night to unwind. Cool. But lately I've been getting into like Trip Hop, Massive Attack. I've listened to Mezzanine like 3 or 4 times in the past week or so. So it's pretty good. It's very relaxing. It's like a combination of electronica and like it's like heavy synth with like weird dark lyrics and it's a very uneasy feeling, but it's calming at the same time. It's good. Okay. I like it a lot. I recommend it definitely. It's a genre that doesn't happen anymore. It peaked in the like mid to late 90s and then just disappeared. Right. Which is strange, but it's good. Massive Attack, Mezzanine. Sean Linehan got me into them.
Okay.
So
that makes sense.
Classic.
Yep.
He likes odd stuff.
Like
That's
Dredge.
awesome, yeah.
Dredge is pretty good. He got me into that.
See, I feel like I've heard of them.
Yeah. What's the other one? Sixth. He got me into
Sixth is great.
Sixth is really good.
Sixth released both an album and an EP in the last year, and both of those are great. Yeah. I was actually going back and listening to Death of a Dead Day. Yep. And that whole album is just
Bland Street Bloom is one of the best songs of all time in my opinion. It's in my like top 25 for songs.
Easily.
Like if I had to put obviously my top 25 favorite songs, that's in there somewhere.
I mean, the dual vocal attack on all of their releases is just so utterly insane that they're like one of the only bands that has gotten to that level that I think I can accept having 2 vocalists. Yeah. Because they do it in such a unique way, where I'm certain they could get away with having just one guy doing it all, but it works out so well. You know, the trade-off and call and response vocal.
I mean, as long as you guys all get along, you know, it's like as far as a band, as long as you work, it's not like you're really losing anything by having another member. Right. I mean, yeah, like you got to split things another way.
Yeah.
It's almost like the 2 vocalists are like battling each other in this song, which is really cool.
I kind of like that.
2 different dynamics.
I like that. There's songs where like you'll have a male and a female vocalist, and it always works nice. Like Coil by Opeth. Yep. That was really cool. There's a song by Iced Earth called The Phantom Opera Ghost. Really good song. It's off of like a shit, I can't think of what the album is, but they have a female singer in one of the parts too, and like the dynamics they just are great. Yeah, if you can do it right.
Right, yeah.
There's a Gojira song though that's like that. It has is it Dan Pelletier is the lead singer of Gojira?
Dan Pelletier.
Joe Duplantier.
Whatever.
It's the same thing.
Whatever. Duplantier? Is that what it is? Duplantier. It's him and Randy Blythe. Adoration of None. I'm pretty sure.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yep. Where it starts off and
with Randy doing the vocals. Yeah.
That one's good. It starts off with Randy and then goes to Joe and back and forth and back.
Yeah. See, that's cool. And I mean, there's certainly like different like spots where it's like I remember when Winds of Plague they had one song off the Great Stone War that had Mitch Luger from Suicide Silence. And I'll just be honest, like, I'm totally cool with listening to deathcore, but like, I don't really remember listening to that album. But I remember Cass Barney, who was a huge fan of Winds of Plague, being like, it sounds like they just wrote it for Mitch Luger to be special guest vocals on it. And like, remembering back on it, I can kind of agree, you know? Like, they wrote a song like specifically to have guest vocals.
I mean, that does happen.
Right.
No doubt.
But it's almost like you're like making like a selling point, you know? It's
like,
without having Mitch Luger on the track, it wouldn't be as cool.
It seems gimmicky.
Yes. Yeah.
I pretty much just have a playlist of a bunch of shit that I like. If I hear a cool song, I'm like, oh, that's going on my playlist. Mm-hmm. And then I just randomize it and then just listen to whatever. So it's not like I have like specific album.
Oh yeah, I know how that is. I mean,
until like Between the Buried and Me releases their album.
Yeah.
I was going to say that the one track that they released, the first single for Automata, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. I was going to say, the last couple Between the Buried and Me records have kind of like completely escaped like my radar. And it's not that like I'm not interested in checking out. It's almost like the Devin Townsend thing, where he keeps releasing so much stuff that I just kind of forget that he's released like 4 to 5 albums in the past, like really an album a year, if not more.
Yeah, I don't know how long it's.
Yeah,
I don't know how long it's been since they released Coma Ecliptic, but it's been a couple years.
Right.
And
but I don't even think I've heard the
Parallax.
EP that came out before that. Yeah.
There was Parallax EP and then there was Parallax 2.
Okay, so I heard the EP and not the full length.
Yeah, the EP is like 3 tracks. It's still relatively lengthy, maybe like a half hour or so.
Right.
And it's a solid EP. The problem with EPs is that they're EPs and they get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy because in my opinion, EPs sometimes hold some of the best material. I still find both of Arsis's EPs, A Diamond for a Disease, and The Leper's Caress, the Scion AV one that was for free. Those have, I mean, granted, The Leper's Caress had like a lot of like old tunes that they just re-recorded, but like Six Coffins Wide and stuff like that, Promise of Never, those tunes off those 2 EPs for Arsis, I mean, in my opinion, those are some of the most memorable songs. Obviously, everyone loves Diamond for a Disease. And stuff like
that's what I was going to say. It's like, that's a like 12, 15-minute song at least.
Yeah, 12 minutes, something like that.
And
10, 12.
It's like when you do those EPs, you just have super long songs.
I don't know what band you're talking about.
Arsis?
Crazy, technical, melodic death metal. They're cool shit.
I don't listen to a lot of metal anymore. I listen to Oceano sometimes.
Right.
Surreption is definitely my favorite.
Dude.
I love Surreption.
If you want to hear a band that literally combines like the 2 best aspects of Surreption and Oceano, and this was kind of what I was going to segue into with this topic, Dying Fetus came out with a record last summer. It's called The Wrong One to Fuck With. Just the album title alone. That should explain it. It's fucking heavy as fuck.
I didn't know they were still like making music.
They do it. They release an album when they want to. They don't do like the Black Dahlia Murder thing where they release an album every like year and a half.
Scheduled, yeah.
Yeah. Like they'll just release like I think literally the last album came out like 4 or 5 years ago. You know, like right when we came out of college and shit. I mean, high school. But yeah. Wrong One to Fuck With. It's like the perfect amount of technicality, the perfect amount of just heavy riffage.
Yeah.
The vocals are produced to perfection. John Gallagher's gurgly nonsense vocals are just so insanely low. It's perfect. It's like for any person that just likes heavy, brutal death metal that's got sweeps in it.
Well, and you know that they worked on it for a long time too.
And that's the other thing. This is, I think, like the first album that Dying Fetus actually recorded themselves. I think they did like this all themselves. Where like the last couple they actually like went to like a studio and shit like that.
See, I like I'm not really picky with all music, but metal I'm really fucking fickle
that's
with.
understandable.
There's a lot of different types of metal though.
Yeah.
And I've tried a lot. I think I would say out of all the artists I have on my phone, I know I have the Apple Music thing. and I think I have like 3,000 or 4,000 songs in my library. I would say at least 1,000 of those are like death metal, hardcore, deathcore, stuff like that, metalcore. The problem I have with metal is that, to me, it can get stale really fast. If that makes sense. Like, it's the same way I feel about rap music. Rap music can get stale really fast, but like classic rock, obviously Pink Floyd and Rush and Dream Theater and Red Hot Chili Peppers, they're my Mount Rushmore. I never get sick of them. But it's hard for me to find a metal band that I don't get sick of eventually.
And I mean, I've had this conversation with Mark a lot, and you realize that a lot of bands, once they hit at least their second album and they're making their third full length, they hit a point where they either have to go like what Cannibal Corpse did and just like stick balls to the wall to just brutal death metal.
Yeah.
Like they haven't changed literally almost anything when it comes to song structure, writing style, anything since basically after The Bleeding, with Chris Barnes. But then like a band like, like Wretched or even like Arsis, once they get to a second album, it's kind of like we got to up our ante a little bit. We either have to make something a little more technical, we had to add just something that's a little different from the last two records to keep people interested.
And there's two bands that come to mind with that. The first one is System of a Down. If you listen to their first album, and then Toxicity, and then Steal This Album, and then I think it goes Hypnotize, Mesmerize. Each one, the sound's the same a little bit, but there's little different nuances each one.
They have a very familiar sound, and they keep it throughout their entire career.
But I think it's the topics is what changes.
Right.
And that's what I like about them.
See, this is why I like Between the Buried and Me, because they write their albums as stories, and they're all one piece.
But I mean, even they're a great example. Where once you get to like Alaska, like that's to me is like they finally found their somewhat signature sound, and Colors is like the perfection of it.
Yeah, like Alaska's great because it's all heavy. Like that's their heaviest. Like as far as in that sound, that's their heaviest one. Before that, I mean, they were basically a hardcore band.
Yeah. I mean, Silent Circus and stuff like that has some really crazy riffage, too.
Yeah.
But I definitely get what you're saying.
There's a few tracks from each one that I can pick out for sure that are great. Like, Silent Circus was good, and Between the Buried and Me was good, but I thought, like, at Alaska, they found their sound, and then Colors was just the culmination. It was absolutely perfect. And then Parallax 2, they changed things. They changed like the way that they decided to mix in more like melodic hooks and a lot more of the falsetto vocals,
right?
Catchy kind of stuff. And then it's the same with Coma Ecliptic. So I'm interested to see like what way they go with Automata, because it seems like it's like you can tell it has a different sound already than what their previous albums had.
But it's still essentially
that.
Between the Buried. Yeah. And like that's the one thing with like Cannibal Corpse. It's like once they got George Fisher in the band after The Bleeding, it's like it's still technically Cannibal Corpse, but like there's definitely like a sound difference in like Vile and Wretched Spawn
for sure
than there is for the first four records.
Yeah. I have Vile, and it's just a brutal album. Like it's just constantly hitting you in the face. And then it's like they're still releasing stuff too, but with
they just
Cannibal
released
Corpse,
an album last year.
Just recently, and I think
they get old.
They're very much like it starts to drone on.
Yeah,
right.
When you listen to it,
I saw Cannibal Corpse. It was me, my buddy Shane, my other friend Jake, another buddy Will. Basically, me and my college metalhead friends, and then Wes and Ashley and two of Wes's other.
Was that The Loss with Surreption?
Yeah, you were there.
And Cattle Decap? Yeah, that was a great show.
What's weird to me is that they can constantly be brutal, but they can also get boring.
That's the thing.
Right.
It's so weird.
That's when I got into Surreption, because it was like I ended up getting kicked out like halfway through Cannibal Corpse's set because.
Well, good thing they're the last band, so.
Yeah.
At least you didn't like get kicked in the stomach and.
No, this guy. You've been at the Lost, right?
Yeah. Multiple times.
This guy
I've played at the Lost.
Yeah, okay. So this guy kept trying to like jump off of the railing that's above like the pit and stuff. and he was fucking belligerently hammered, and
obviously
my buddy Jake and I kept grabbing him and being like, dude, don't do that. Like, you're gonna land right on that table. Like, like if you remember what it looked like when that show was going on, it was the railing, and then like all the tables were pushed back, and then it was the people. And he's like, no, dude, I'm gonna make this jump. So eventually we dragged him down, bitched him out, dragged him down, bitched him out, dragged him out, bitched him out. Eventually he shoved us, and we started swinging, and Jake and I got kicked out about halfway through Cannibal Corpse's set. But I don't know where I was going with that.
It was
something about Surruption.
It wasn't upsetting because it was Cannibal Corpse, and
but you got to see Surruption.
You were saying something about Cannibal Corpse.
God fucking damn it! Now I'm pissed.
But
anyway.
Well, back to the topic of bands either maintaining a sound or progressing into a different sound. Actually, Cal Decapitation is a great example of that, because they started off as a pretty generic, Carcass gore grind band, and now they're doing I don't know how you describe it, progressive technical gore grind death metal.
Mm-hmm. See, and that's
pushing boundaries both vocally, riffs wise, and all sorts.
What did you just say that was?
What?
That genre?
Gore grind.
Gore. What did you just say? Can you repeat that?
What I would call
Carcass.
Carcass is a band from England. Okay.
So
they started them and Napalm Death.
A carcassy gore grind death metal. See, and that is another thing. Not that it's bad, but that's another thing.
Subgenres can get so fucked up.
I'm glad you knew where I was coming from.
No, and we talked about this.
So fucking weird. It's like, I remember getting into an argument with somebody about Opeth. And they were like,
that's the easiest band.
Oh, yeah. That's another one that transformed quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, that's the thing. At least there's a progression up until Watershed.
Yeah.
After Watershed, Mike Lackfeld's I wrote an album that sounded like Watershed. Everyone else didn't like it, so I did something different.
Look, it should just be Mikkel Ackerfeld.
Thank you.
It should just be Mikkel Ackerfeld, not Opeth.
Yep. I mean, I didn't listen to a lot of what was it? What's that album? That Storm Corrosion? That's what he did with?
Yeah.
But I remember a lot of the stuff
really good,
off the last couple Opeth albums reminding me of Storm Corrosion.
Yeah.
So that's what I immediately thought was why didn't he just make another Storm Corrosion album?
Yeah.
Instead of
attacking the Opeth name.
Not even that. Just be Mikkel Ackerfeld. Release it as Mikkel Ackerfeld.
Yeah, like a solo album.
Yeah. People know who he is.
Yeah, right. But it's just... I mean, I can understand continuing the name of Opeth.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things where it's now we've gotten to a point the last album to me just doesn't even sound like Opeth anymore.
No.
Watershed was great.
Dude, Watershed was great. We both saw that at the Town Ballroom in Buffalo, right? You were at that show with High on Fire, Knock Mystium?
Yeah.
Dude, that show was awesome.
There's one show that I went, the first time I saw Opeth, it was an unreal lineup, and I'll never see anything like it ever again. It was this band called Three. Dude. They were I think it was the drummer from Coheed and Cambria or something like that.
Yeah, the drummer, and I think the guitar player was
the
also
one that got arrested for armed robbery.
Because they're two brothers.
Yeah. They were very similar to Coheed and Cambria in a lot of ways.
See, and that's the thing. I like Three, but I have never been able to get into Coheed.
Really?
I don't know why.
They're a little different. They
Not
are
even
definitely.
What the fuck's the album with Welcome Home? Oh, Apollo and Burning.
See, that's probably the one that most people have showed me.
That's the only album.
Good Apollo and Burning Star or something.
That's the only album I like.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good album.
Just because I think it's got a good flow to it. It's hard to explain. It's like The Wall.
There's a lot of dips, peaks and valleys.
It all flows into each other. Yeah. The Wall starts off with In the Flesh to get you pumped.
But that album that Three was pushing at the time, I think it's called The Beginning is the End or something like that.
Beginning of the End, yeah.
Dude, that album.
So good.
Perfect.
Yeah, it was great.
I would try listening to that album.
Yeah, dude.
You should.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
If you haven't listened to Three, you should listen to that too.
Right. I'll check them out.
That's really a cool album.
But Mark also saw Opeth when he first saw them.
Yeah,
with
this show
Into
was
Eternity and
unreal.
Nevermore.
Oh, okay.
Dude, yeah.
That's dope.
It was like right when Deliverance and Damnation came out.
Oh, okay.
And he saw it with like Grant Davis and I think Steve Lacerdo. But it was like literally right when Into Eternity got Stu Block on vocals, and now he's singing for Iced Earth.
Yeah,
and
he's awesome,
dude. He is phenomenal.
I like him a lot.
Crazy.
I liked him a lot in Into Eternity better though.
Oh yeah,
because he had more of a freedom. He had more freedom to do whatever.
And it's sad because I watched a clip of him doing guest vocals for Into Eternity after he had left and did Iced Earth, and it must be him getting used to just solely doing the clean melodic vocals for Iced Earth. He can't do the growls anymore.
Yeah,
which it's kind of a bummer. You know, it takes away a lot from that.
There were some songs that I heard from Into Eternity that was just like unbelievable. Like he'd do high pitched screams, and then he'd do growls, and then he'd do
the fucked up thing
falsetto.
is like the first, I think, 2 or 3 albums of Into Eternity. It was actually all the guitarists, Tim Roth, doing vocals.
Yeah, okay.
Which is like Scattered Ashes, which was the album that my brother I remember bringing home, and that, oh my gosh, that has like all of like the hits on it.
And you know what I love about metal? Even though I don't like all metal, it's this.
Yeah.
It's I think it's the easiest genre to discuss and compare and get.
Well, because there's a lot to it.
There's a lot to it, and a lot of people don't realize that. You know, I was gonna say the other band.
It's not the easiest to be accessible. Like it's not the easiest to jump into.
I would say it's the easiest to.
There's a threshold that you have to surpass.
I think it's the easiest to discuss. I guess.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing that I've always. Have you ever seen the movie Metal: A Headbanger's Journey?
Yes. Yep.
Really good movie. And there's a quote in there where he says something like, if you don't feel it, like if you don't feel metal when you first hear it, you're not going to ever get it.
Yeah,
exactly.
And he's like, we're doing fine without you.
Right.
And it's like, you're spot on. Like you are absolutely spot on. There's something about it that
it just clicks.
Yeah.
Right away.
You like it.
And you can talk to people and be like, a stranger, oh, what do you listen to? Oh, I listen, like if I'm answering, I'll be like, oh, I listen to like, classic rock, some country, some rap. I really like metal. I'll be like, okay, so what kind of metal? And then you go in, and then within that next sentence or two,
now there's
grab them or lose them.
Yeah, for sure. I think nowadays it's all just gent, which is crazy. Like a lot of gent is just getting super like ridiculous.
See, and it
all sounds the same. Like ever since Periphery started doing it, it was like it became the sound, and like a lot of bands want to do it.
And back to the whole genre thing, that's a problem I have with the term progressive death metal right now, because that immediately equates to gent.
Yeah,
like nowadays, there's some like little differences, like, I guess, but like
it's so weird the categories.
But it's like you're saying, it's like as soon as the first Animals as Leaders Periphery album came out, and like people have bastardized like Tesseract sound and like those sort of bands, and now like there's like even
diluted.
Like there's like all the like melodic instrumental bands like Chan and Polyphia, I think is the other one.
Polyphia.
And they're great. They're great musicians.
But
like I said, is it progressive if everyone's doing it?
Right.
Like, it's not progressing the genre, really.
No.
To me, it seems more of a show-offy genre of metal.
Oh, definitely.
Which I kind of I don't know. I never was big on that kind of stuff.
There's a fine line, and that's why bringing up the Dying Fetus album earlier, that's like the perfect amount of technicality and just like straight good riffage.
Yeah.
It's not like sweeps and just like 1,000 riffs going on like Archspire or something like that.
I think the furthest I'll go, like I like when you're technical, but I like there has to be some kind of melody, something has to grab me. And I think there's an album by Jeff Loomis called Miles of Machines. I think it's called.
Yep.
And it's super, super good. And that's like right on the border, like where he's kind of neoclassical, but he's also like super technical and fast, but it's catchy.
Right.
There's stuff that gets stuck in your head. And I think Arch Enemy was really good at doing that too.
Right.
Super like melodic.
Which hilariously enough, Jeff Loomis is playing in.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. That's correct. I forgot all about that. And they're still going at it. And they got the singer from
the Agonist?
The Agonist.
Yeah. Forgot her name.
I don't know. But they don't have Angela Gasso.
Amy Winehouse.
Something like that.
I think it's Andy Winehouse. But anyway, going back to this show,
Amanda Whiskey Place,
something like that. Yeah.
Do you guys like doom metal at all? Candlemas.
Candlemas is cool.
Okay,
I haven't gotten into it really.
Doom, for like a lot of the people that I hang out with, is such a like weird genre because like my drummer for my band, the Crimson Edge, Alex Zellatan, he likes a lot of the doom, like almost like death doom, like bands like from like Finland and Sweden, like Morgion and stuff like that, where it's like the riffs are so slow, just and it's like the guy's not even actually growling. He just like this is like really low, like monotone,
like Sun-O or something.
Yeah, it's like he's not even growling. He's just
like I could never get the appeal. Like I tried listening to Sun-O, and it's just this really low droning.
Okay.
I would check out Candlemas. Their debut album, Epicus Doomicus Metallicus, it's perfect. It's great.
But see, that actually has like riffs.
Yeah,
where it's like you're talking about like a noise drone.
It's a drone. That's all it is.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you want to hear like the halfway point from like Sun, and I guess Candlemas would be like a band like Earth, which definitely does like the droning aspect, but they clearly like will like use like a blues riff and just draw it the fuck out.
Pentagram is good too.
Pentagram is like almost like straight up like Black Sabbath worship.
Yeah.
They're like the first American like Black Sabbath band. And there's a documentary on the vocalist Bobby Liebling. Great documentary if you want to hear their fucked up story of Pentagram. I suggest it.
And Black Sabbath I've had this discussion with my dad and my Uncle Frank. I like Black Sabbath, but obviously I didn't grow up in the early 70s.
Right.
Neither of us grew up in the early 70s. But if you listen to Black Sabbath, what made them so different from the bands back then? Because if you listen to some of it, they sound like a sort of heavier... They sound like Led Zeppelin and Drop D.
I think I mentioned this when Cass was here.
Graham.
Graham. Well, we want to get Cass on, too.
Yeah, we do.
We're actually thinking about having him on, like, this week, like next week. If he,
without a doubt,
if he does,
yeah.
But what the fuck were we just talking about? Oh, the production. It's the production. I think like there's not really like you can't really get the sound of Black Sabbath anymore.
And no. I will not lie. I am not a huge fan of Led Zeppelin. I am not a huge fan of Rolling Stones or a lot of the stuff that people dig for the Beatles.
Okay, no, that's fine. Led Zeppelin's the only one, whatever.
Well, and that's the thing. A lot of people like
Stones
call Led Zeppelin like, one of the godfathers of metal. Comparison to Sabbath. I remember watching the VH1 thing when I was like 12 or 13. They're like top 10 bands that made metal, and like I remember getting to like the top 3, and it was like number 2 is Sabbath. Wait, what? Then who's number 1? And it ended up being Led Zeppelin. But the thing that, and I mean, I think it's mostly just because Led Zeppelin was a band before Sabbath was.
I could see it, I guess.
But the one thing I want to get is that Sabbath went balls to the wall both with how loud they played and how bass heavy. Not really so much distortion at the time. Geezer Butler cranked his sound, and he was actually the one that wrote most of the riffs. Like Paranoid, Sweet Leaf, even like songs like NIB, Snowblind. He wrote the major like riffs, and then Tony Iommi was just like, all right, I can like make a cool riff out of that. And I think that majorly pushes like the heaviness at that time, and it's kind of like what Seth was getting at with the production, having such a bass heavy sound at the time.
Yeah, and not only that, the fact that it's old. You can't. Right. The production now is just so crisp and fucking perfect that like, you don't necessarily get that anymore. And I think I can see what they're saying with Zeppelin. They did deliver the way they were
heavier than the other top bands.
Yeah,
they were heavier than Pink Floyd, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones.
And the thing is,
like
bands like that, there's people that don't like them and do like them, but there's no denying what they've done.
Oh yeah,
there just isn't. And I think they're bands that like I like to go back and listen to once in a while, but they're not like like an all day vape.
No,
No.
that's understandable.
See, and Zeppelin's one of my favorite bands, but it's definitely the acquired taste of Zeppelin is a combination of the vocals and just the weird. I don't want to say time signature, but like the weird rhythm of some of their songs.
Oh yeah, like some of the riffs are definitely wonky.
Like The Ocean is bam 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 out. And it's all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's plus, you know,
I thought we were making an Aqua Teen Hunger first reference there.
But also
that's from the live
Jimmy
album.
Page was a fucking statory rapist.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
We talked about that in like the first episode.
the very first episode.
Really?
Yeah.
Full circle.
Because I was reading about it and I was like, just out of nowhere, I was just like, you guys know Jimmy Page had a groupie that was only 14 years old? Like, do you think her parents were proud of that?
No.
Oh, honey.
Maybe. I don't know.
That was your age.
It was a different age. It was a different era. You know?
It was.
You can't
it
do
was
that
a different.
now, man.
It was a different time.
Well, obviously.
You
So-
shouldn't do
So
that.
anyway,
shouldn't.
going
It's
back to
fucked
the
up.
show that I was talking about forever ago.
Aqua Teen?
No,
South Park?
with 3,
Yes.
Jesus
they played
Christ.
first, and then Between the Buried and Me played, and I had heard of them, but I didn't know who the fuck they were.
Right.
And they were playing they were basically touring Colors, like it was towards the end of Colors, and they were doing a whole bunch of their songs from that, and then stuff from like Misdirect, I think.
Cool.
And then it was Opeth. So 3, Between the Buried and Me, Opeth, and then Dream Theater
Wow.
headlines. We're
That is fucking amazing.
those
that's
bands
insane.
all could be headliners easily,
Yeah.
even at that time. It was called Progressive Nation, and it was in
Yep.
I want to say
Wow.
Albany I think it was Albany.
That is amazing.
I remember that tour. I didn't go see it, but I
Yeah,
remember a lot
there
of
was
our
a whole
friends
bunch of
seeing it.
people from here
Yep.
that I saw there.
That's fucking insane.
And then I think the second time I saw them was with Devin Townsend and Cynic, and that was in Rochester. Yeah, they're a great band.
Dude.
Yeah.
I saw Cynic headline at the Montage Music Hall, and it was right when Hallucination Speak, and that well, not the last album. Well, I guess it was their last full length that came out, and that was just perfect.
Why are you caressing the?
It's hot.
It sounds like it.
It's getting fucking late, boys.
Traced in Air is a great fucking album, though.
Dude,
I
Focus
love
and
Traced
Traced in Air are both great. Both of those are huge influences to me. Just awesome.
Classic Cynic.
Great riffs. Riffs for days.
But I think what we're surmising from this is that metal's cool.
Rock is dead.
Yeah. No.
It's all about trap music. I got 2 phones, one for the plug, one for the hose. I got 2 phones, one for the bitches and one for the dough.
They just have the guy mumbling behind you.
Fucking Kevin Gates, son.
I can't what's funny is I can't get this chair to squeak when I try to, but when I don't want it to, it does.
Right.
It's like a nice woman.
There it goes.
I don't think so.
No, they don't squeak when you want them to.
Never.
All right, what's the all right, yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. Unless we have some sweet topics to talk about.
So there's some sweet topics to talk about.
Does anybody have sweet topics?
Actually, let me see if I.
Send us your
This is
sweet
easily
topics.
the best part of the podcast right now,
Yeah.
where we just question each other. You got some sweet topics?
No, I
Give me the
already,
sweet
I already,
topics.
I already really covered all mine.
Send us some topics, P.O. Box.
We can just revisit the topics that we poorly talked about earlier.
Someone snail mails.
Mine was mostly just the pound of hot pockets and transgender people can't get mad that I don't want to suck their dicks. That's
Right.
about it.
Yeah, I feel like you just wanted to get the hot pockets through, and then you checked out.
Yeah,
It's
basically.
the opposite of Tungsten. Tungsten checks in, Dobus checks out. You can't explain that.
Oh. All right.
Okay.
Well, thanks for coming, man.
Dude, yeah, this has been awesome. This is
fun.
Great.
It was fun. I can't wait to hang out in like a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the 23rd.
Yeah, like next Saturday.
Next Saturday.
Or Friday.
Next Friday. Saturday.
So the plan, I want to get that TV to like be there. Because
I thought we weren't doing that.
If we're gonna do videos, though, I feel like it'd be nice. Because if the camera's over there, hi everybody.
Video there.
Yeah, we'll have a video there. It'd be nice.
Yeah, it works for me.
Yeah, I dig that. That's a cool idea.
You're not allowed back.
All right.
It's a one and done thing.
I see how it is.
You have to pay for each subsequent view.
So the other people paid in to come back on.
You gotta buy in.
And B-Famo is just like $600. That's why he's not back.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder why I don't see him out.
And Bill's not allowed back. Well, no, Bill.
The last time we had Bill, didn't
record. We did a WWE Royal Rumble companion podcast, and it didn't record.
I'm just making sure I'm recording right now because it recorded the first half, and then for some reason the second half was like, no, we're not gonna
for Bill.
That.
Yeah, no, that was bullshit. We were fucking pissed.
Wow.
But we were also watching wrestling the entire time.
So it didn't really matter. And
right.
we were being like, we were really drunk and pervy because we were watching the women's Royal Rumble, and we were just like,
okay, all right,
that's a nice crack.
I see how it is.
You know what I mean?
I guess so. Not really.
I mean, more or less. There's going to be a women's elimination chamber match at the next pay-per-view.
Are they all going to be naked?
I don't think so, no.
Is Amazon going to send them free sex toys?
Unless they put that rule into effect that we were talking about where no one can wear clothes. That should be a new... I think we could get a hold of Trump and convince him.
Easily.
It seems like something he'd be for.
All he has to do is tweet it. Tweet it into existence.
Yeah. All right, I guess that's it.
I guess we're just gonna end on that. Trump's gonna make everyone naked. We're gonna enter World War III in about 6 months because North Korea is mad that everyone's naked. Yeah. South Korea will be mad too because the Olympics get fucked up because everyone's naked.
Everybody dies of frostbite.
Everyone, even the people that are clothed, they die of frostbite.
Everyone in South Park.
I don't know. I could see it happening.
South Korea.
Yeah, instantly.
I feel like things would be stinky, though.
Especially because they're all eating fucking General Tso's, man.
Okay.
Fucking MSG is not good for pussy stink.
All right, that's it, finally.
That's it.
We'll cut that off.
We're done.
Thank you for listening or watching or whatever you're doing. We'll see you next time. Clear Shots Podcast is available on any of your favorite podcasting websites or applications. You can check us out at clearshotspodcast.com to hear any of the episodes. Also, follow us on Facebook. I think it's facebook.com/clearshotspodcast to get there. And you can also check us out on Twitter at clearshotspod. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.